So the first floor tenants are going to be variable, and we're currently having conversations with possible tenants and finalizing some of that. As I indicated, we're planning to have a pharmacy in the building, hopefully a coffee shop. Those are two that I feel fairly strongly about. Then we're looking for various tenants. We think this lends well to real estate, finance, sort of white-collar businesses. We would love to have other things in there, but just realistically, I think those are more likely to go in a building that doesn't have sort of storefront on the street, but it's going to be very upscale, high-end tenant space. The second floor, of course, will be medical, leased by the hospital. Their plans that I understood 4 years ago probably are going to be different, and I can't speak for them what their plans are going to be. Their space, they've developed the same way, but I think they may change what they want to do. Their business plan over 4 years with a new administration could be entirely different. The top 2 floors will be leased by the Danville Orthopedic Clinic and their various businesses, and so that's medical as well. Of course, this part, what I call the North Annex, is going to be dining and the restaurant. The first floor restaurant is intended to be more casual, brick oven pizza, open kitchen, outside seating, craft beers, that type of place. This floor is intended to be upscale restaurant with fine dining. Again, same thing, decks. These are potentially could be 4-season outdoor seating because there's going to be roofs on each of them, so entirely contained, drop awning, so potentially we'll have 4-season dining outside in Danville. This will be one of the entrances. There'll be space over there. There'll be a wall over there. That is intended to be a coffee shop, we'll see. Beyond that, it's supposed to be a pharmacy. Over here, potentially a group insurance, but all these things are still being worked on. However, there's a lot of changes that are not clear. All these walls are plaster, and they will be repaired and remain plaster. This is a historic rehabilitation, therefore it's very specific how it's done to maintain the history of the building in terms of its structure and character. So I'll explain some of that as we go through the whole thing, but let's take a walk. Since we are down here, we'll look. This portion over here is what we all refer to as the North Annex. It is the part that will become a restaurant, and so we'll walk through there briefly. So this area here is part of the restaurant. Where you see nothing done, that is an elevator shaft. The service elevator will be installed in here. The patron's elevator will be on the opposite side of that brick wall. So in here, that's deemed to be the refrigerator and cooler. This is a prep kitchen area. And in here is the floor of the restaurant. The finished kitchen will actually be over there. And so it'll be an open kitchen style restaurant. All this will be, of course, totally rehabilitated. You'll get a sense of how that occurs upstairs. The bathrooms will be over there. The entrance actually is about where he's standing. The entrance is going to come in through there, and there's another structure, an enclosure being built between the two buildings, and that's where the patrons will come up through that elevator, and there'll be a open staircase within a glass enclosure. But this is the floor of the restaurant here. One of those, that window there will become a doorway, and it will walk out onto a deck which will overlook the river and the Riverwalk Trail. This part of the building we've done very little to, as Randy, for several reasons, but you're going to see as we move through the building a lot more done. They've been very busy. The construction started in October of last year. They're actually ahead of schedule. I can't say anything but compliments to our contractors. They're doing a great job, high quality, reliable, and ahead of schedule. So Randy is a big part of that, and it's been a great working relationship. They did the demolition originally, and that's how we discovered they were top notch, so we went with them for the construction. So, but this area shows kind of not much done other than a little bit of cleanup, tearing up some hardwood, some repair, but in about 2 months this is going to look a lot different in here as well. So what you're seeing here, you're standing inside this glass structure right now. Just behind you is the pit. Larry. Just behind you is the pit for the elevator. The elevator is this blue structure right here. This will be a new structure, elevators going up, and a glass enclosure which extends out to enclose this whole corner. That'll be an open atrium, and at each level coming off the elevators. These three windows that you look at here, these three windows will be totally rehabilitated. Everything else, every other window and door in the building, well, let me correct that. Every window in the building will be replaced by an exact replica of the current style, but it'll be a new window, and that was part of what had to go through the historic efforts to clarify that. But because over 70% of the windows were beyond repair, then they allow you to actually replace them. So they'll be historically accurate, but double pane new windows. But other than these three, which will be totally restored, and right beyond these three windows is a section of the building we're going to turn into a museum and allow that to reflect and show and celebrate the history of the building. So just to get a sense, that is the pit that they're getting ready to pour soon for the elevator, and the elevator will go up that way.
How many parking spaces are going to be built?
So there's parking local on site. This is going to look a lot different. It's grayed out. There's going to be an island in the middle and parking. There's Newton's Landing. There's the parking, of course, in the new deck. The parking you all might have used across from Jake's, etc., as well as some loose parking on the street. So there's in excess of 500-600 spaces when you put it all together. So
There's going to be.
there'll be, yeah, there probably, I'm not sure, 50-ish right on site. Yep. This essentially shows you, is laying the way this all sits. This is the elevators. This whole yellow area is the glass atrium. This is all new construction with a canopy going out, which is reflected here. There's right where I'm standing about here. This is a giant corridor going directly behind me. Tenant spaces along there, a large tenant space over there. This floor that we all came in originally, which we refer to as the West Wing along Main Street, that's at a slightly different elevation of about 4 feet difference when you came down those little steps. These openings, this is actually going to be one space, but it'll have 2 levels. These corridors link the restaurant, this entrance, as well as that other entrance together. Large public bathroom in the middle. So this space here will have all these red are the spaces for tenants. And back here is the restaurant. This is a tenant space as well. All this is the restaurant. This area here is the connector, the new connector, which would be a glass structure enclosing stairs, elevator, which is between the 2 sections of the building. It'll make more sense from higher up. This corridor here is where the new opening, where I showed you when you were in the restaurant area, that'll cut through a platform here and an opening into the restaurant, which is what I pointed out earlier. It's a little confusing, but that's how it works. So we're gonna walk through. I want to tell you a few things about this area. Over here is that area that is going to become a museum to reflect the building and its history, which is pretty significant for our region. So this whole area in here, that section of glass, wood will be restored. You'll see how it looks when it gets restored upstairs. So all that area in there is the restaurant, the museum. The area behind that is mechanical rooms. So everything else pretty much on this floor is tenant space. This is the second floor. The hospital is going to lease this section. So the way it works is these 3 large windows will be removed, cut down to the floor level. That outside there is the entrance from the elevators. So there's a atrium, a lobby out there, and when you come off the elevators, there'll be a granite tile floor, and you'll look from this new structure into the historic building through the brick arches. And each floor above here is like the same way. So this floor is the second floor. The hospital is going to be leasing this whole floor. The design and development it was done with Dewberry and the hospital working together on their their plan. This behind, right here is a schematic of this floor. So again, this is laying properly. This is back behind where the second upper floor of the restaurant, as well as this shows the new deck that will be behind there. Remember, the river runs here. The Riverwalk Trail runs right behind here. So it overlooks, and the bridge, Main Street Bridge, is right here. So this is this floor here, west wing, which we'll walk through this briefly and get a little sense of it, and then we'll go up to the top floor. So what happened was the floors looked pretty much like you saw downstairs, and there was floors that were damaged and there were floors that were in great shape. Where I'm standing, this is floor that was original to the building, probably 120 years old. The floor right next to it that looks different is brand new flooring we had to put in. There was damaged floor and that was pulled up. There was some damage underneath. All that was corrected by the contractors. In an historic rehab, they actually prefer to see the differences between what's replaced and new and what's old. So we're not trying to make it blend. It's actually purposefully obvious. But you'll see a lot of new flooring over there. The floors above have very little that needed to be replaced. But this floor had a lot more damage. Machinery that had been in here had a lot of water and it caused damage to the flooring. But it's all been repaired and corrected. And upstairs you're going to get to see how thick these floors actually are. Again, that wall there will be closed in. And this is part of the restaurant. That's the hospital. So this is separate here. Same thing, the elevator goes up here. This floor, this is probably some of the most amazing space in the building, I think. It's very spectacular. This is planned to be an upscale restaurant. The people who are doing the restaurant want to get the more informal, casual restaurant going on the floor below first, and then develop this afterwards. We are going to be correcting all the issues with this part, shelling it, new windows, the floor is done, all the structure ready, so it's ready to go at that point in time. When the engineers did the engineering and structural analysis, this roof was of concern in terms of carrying the loads that equipment, mechanicals would apply to it. So that was re-engineered, but what's going to happen is trusses, brand new trusses are being made right now. They're ordered and in construction. They will basically look identical to this, but they'll be structurally stronger, support the roof. The roof is pretty much going to be rebuilt in here, but it'll look exactly as it does now. The door will come through right over there from the new atrium, elevator, and staircase. I want you all to come over here and look at the views. Just take a peek out this window and imagine a deck outside this to sit on and look out over the river in the back. The windows. We talked about all these windows, again, are going to be brand new windows. Many places they're painted, they're opaqued, they're blocked in with wood, so the light is going to be extremely different when all that's done. The windows have been ordered. They are expected to arrive probably, Randy, what do you think? Beginning of March? What, end of February? So the intent is to put about 20 windows in a week. So there'll be about 3 months of installation going on to put those in. 3 months? So, but they'll start arriving at the end of this month. So that'll be obviously a very exciting thing. That'll help the public appreciate what's going on. As you will see, as you've already seen, but you'll see even more, a lot's going on in the building, but it's not real obvious from outside. Once the windows start going in, the pool gets brought in next week or the week after. That'll be a kind of exciting thing happening on Main Street also. So this is the third floor, and this will house physical therapy, pain management, spine, as well as more administrative components of the building. The blue is physical therapy. The yellow is where we all are right now, which is lobby and connection space, so essentially common space. And back in there, we'll walk through briefly, and I want to show you the wing over here because it's sort of interesting as well. At the end is the therapeutic pool, which you're seeing right here. That whole space is a deck, but the pool is in the center of it. So that's the open area. This is a staircase coming down, open staircase. Those rooms in the back will be treatment rooms for patients. Many of the therapies, including the one currently for this operation, is curtains, so much more privacy, a whole lot nicer for everyone. This shows the pool a lot better. So the pool will be in that space there. This is deck. The concrete below is the support. That steel I told you about downstairs was much like this, supporting the concrete. There'll be nurses' station in here. This is a visual because there's recovery areas for patients right here, and the two big rooms in the back are where the procedures will happen. So someone will be brought in and have an epidural done. They'll come back out because they've had some sedation or some medication. They'll come out and they'll recover here. And this is the central nurse area that basically can handle all this clinical space. But I think this is kind of a cool space with the big glass wall. That corridor behind there, be able to see into it. Same idea, light will be able to transmit across, even into the corridor, natural light. Really focused a lot designing this to have lots of light transmission and make it feel like a very open, fun space and really take advantage of the character of the building. So here's spiral duct right here. This area is a nurse's station. So these are two nurses' stations. The duct, corners, windows in the background, brick showing. Right here is looking from the lobby, looking in. This brick is that brick over there. This is a check-in area, which is essentially right here. So when you come off the elevators and come out through here is a check-in area for the physician offices. This depicts the railings that will be used, the style of railings throughout the building. Architecture reflecting the river, but gives it some modern characteristics mixed with the historical elements of the building. This depicts how this space will look with your kind of visible ceilings and stuff built internally. The way this is best described, it's like having buildings within a building. So the big shell is the building, and then you're building stuff inside of it. So anyway, this is the waiting area we're going to walk through. This is an open, there'll be the railing around here. This is just an open area. It will look down upon the physical therapy department below. What I want you to look at is the thickness of the floors and the structure of the floors. If you look at this right here, you can see that very thick tongue and groove board at the bottom, and then another layer, and finally the flooring. So as you walk around here, you'll notice that you never hear a creak, a groan, a squeaky floor. These floors are over 100 years old and they are rock solid. But that's the structure beneath with the steel supporting it. This area here will be totally visible. You'll get the public can see the floors, the steel. They're going to get a sense of the character of this facility. All these ceilings that you're seeing up here will be visible. Of course, what's been put in already is the sprinkler system. There are other architectural features. There are acoustic clouds and various things going in which will soften the noise level, that will give it a lot of character. All that's still happening. Other than the restaurant space, this is the coolest space in the building, second coolest in that case. So after I blabble a little bit, you can look around at the views. The views from this room are spectacular. This is going to become a conference, media room, boardroom, hopefully be available to use beyond just the medical facility. So there'll be a large board table in the middle, elevated floor on each side, and chairs and seating, and then a large screen and multimedia, somewhat like in the Institute, similar to that for this room. But if you look out these views, You can see the restaurant to the right, the Riverwalk Trail, the YMCA, the new walkway across Main Street. Started in November of 2010. And I worked with the city and talked, and we came up with a plan. At that time, there was not as much excitement about this area as it is now. So we came up with ideas of using tax credits. Of course, everyone had this idea that tax credits are something you just decide you want to use. Well, I've had an education in that for the last 6 years, that that's not at all the way it works. The historic part is complicated enough. The new market credits are absolutely absurd, and not that many people really understand them. So anyway, we purchased the building in July of 2012. At that point, we'd already done the planning for the demolition. We had actually lined up the demolition, which is Burton Construction. So we had a demolition plan. When I say demolition, that's tearing everything out. This was a building that was functioning, so it had equipment, mechanicals, everything else in here, and a lot of issues. So the demolition was a significant thing in itself, and Randy was part of that. So that started immediately after we purchased the building, and during the demolition phase is when we do the engineering for the construction. So that went on at a high pace. Dewberry was working feverishly to get this done because we were hoping to move along. So during that time, the new market tax credit issues became a lot more clear to be problematic. The consultant probably didn't appreciate some of the nuances. There were things going on in Washington simultaneously that affected it. And then construction financing that was supposed to be in place ran into issues. So all those things sort of happened, and we had to put some things on hold and work through that process. It was an extremely time-consuming, emotionally exhausting, and it took a lot of people, a lot of work and time and finance to get through. The people working with me worked very hard and hung in there, and I really appreciate the support from the city and understanding of the complexities, and they were helpful during that as well, so that we could actually succeed. I think a lot of people had doubts, but we never wavered, and ultimately we succeeded. But the new market credits closed the end of September of last year. We started construction the next week.